How are you all on this toasty morning? Of course, I come out here and wear this big overcoat, and Carper shows me up by coming out in a summer suit, you know. But I know he's got thermal underwear under there. Oh, shut up! Nobody cares. This is so wonderful. I'm so. For those of you who are coming in from out of town, I'm the mayor. I'm Mike Brzezicki, and I'm happy to welcome all of you to the dedication of the Southbridge Wilmington Wetlands Park. This beautiful 20-acre, believe me when I tell you, decades-long undertaking to provide a beautiful recreational space, an ecological restoration project, and the means to alleviate flooding in our beloved Southbridge neighborhood right nearby, right? I remember the first time we talked about this when I was still over at the RDC, which was a number of years ago. And I was asked to secure some real estate back then on the edge of this marsh that we were talking about. And so we had to go deal with two guys who owned this piece of real estate over here on the A Street side of things. But we finally had to get a deal done with them, but they had to get through litigation with Amtrak or Penn Central, whoever it was, their predecessor, because this place was so loaded with PCBs. And I think that's characteristic of so much of what we felt we dealt with in the beginning. I also remember when the RDC bought a piece of ground on Walnut Street because we thought it had great development potential. And then we needed a favor from the city. And I went to Jeff Lynn. I said, Jeff, we need this help from the city. He said, okay, but only if you give us that land that you bought over on Walnut Street. So that's how Jeff Lynn, who's here, was putting this piece together, right, like a big jigsaw puzzle, year after year after year, and that's so much of how this place finally came together. There are so many people to recognize, and we're going to hear from many of them. But I think it's fair to recognize the folks from the community of Southbridge that started this ball rolling years and years ago. Marie Reed, Hanifa, so many people who really kick-started this whole effort back years ago. I think it's also important that on the day that I get to cut the ribbon, that I acknowledge my predecessors, Jim Baker and Dennis Williams, because they were here through so much of the most important part of this. So there are stories like the one I just told. Everybody's got one. Everybody can put a little piece to the puzzle. Everybody played a role, and they're going to come on up here and talk about some of those stories here today. We have a lot of speakers, so they're not going to be long speeches. But who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? Yeah. Why, am I giving a long speech? I just said, hello, how are you? What are we? No, but who would have imagined when we were out here the first time, Marie, with your little bunch of dirt, right, that we would have these athletic fields over here, that we look back and see the 76ers field house, that we would look back and see the most beautiful Salvation Army complex on planet Earth, right here in our vision. And so I think that, something that occurs to me as we stand here is that we ought to let this symbolize what we can do when we let our imagination get stretched and we think about what's possible. We don't get deterred by some of the blight that's in our face all the time. We just don't get put off by the negative. We just think of the aspirations and the positive. And so with that thought, I look so forward to getting out here and cutting a ribbon today. I want to thank everybody for being here, and what I'll do next to describe in some detail what's going on here at this marsh, I'll introduce Kelly Williams, Commissioner of Public Works, who has really been the orchestra leader of this crowd for some time. Kelly, get up and say hi.
Good morning, everyone. Kelly Williams, Commissioner of Public Works, and thank you all for being here for this big milestone. Just a little background about the, could we have picked a windier day? My goodness. So this project is, one of my favorite projects that Public Works does, and obviously we do a lot around town, but what I really enjoy about this project is that it really started from the community. So the community came to us, the city, with a problem, a flooding problem that had plagued the community since the 50s, even before the 50s. And they said to us, what can you city do about that issue? And then, like the mayor said, there was this horrible piece of contaminated property. It was horribly contaminated, PCBs, just a junk piece of property, and what can we do about that? So together, the city with the community talked about it, and in 2006, with some money from NOAA, that's where the Southbridge Wilmington Wetlands Park idea was born. Some thought and process, and some engineers got together and said, let's clean up the property and alleviate flooding all at the same time. So that's really how a city at its best works, where the community comes to the city with a problem and its people react and try to do what it can to really solve the problems and improve the community, restore nature, and really this is the result, this beautiful, gorgeous piece of nature that we have put back into the city for everybody to enjoy. So I'm really, really proud of this project. Yeah, thank you. Everyone should clap for sure. I'm incredibly proud because as Commissioner of Public Works, usually the projects that I do are out of sight and out of mind, right? I work on underground pipes and underground storage tanks and, complicated treatment infrastructure behind security walls and fences. But today we literally are out here to enjoy the beauty in nature, and what this wetland does is it mitigates flooding. It stores over 2 million gallons of stormwater that previously caused flooding in these homes back here. It improves our water quality as the stormwater traverses over a mile of wetlands. It restores the tidal wetland with 62 different planted species, creating an ecosystem where you can observe the guests that have joined us today, including sunfish, heron, egrets, dragonflies, turtles, frogs, and a muskrat or two. It had cleaned up the brownfields by hauling away 8,200 truckloads of contaminated soil. And in the end, it's created a safe and attractive park with 1,800 feet of handicap-accessible trail that connects Southbridge to the shopping and businesses on South Walnut and South Market Streets. So really, in the end, because the city assembled this large multidisciplinary team, and we rose to the task of solving the community's issues through a combination of perseverance, creativity, and dogged determination. I'm so proud of just what we've achieved. I'd like to thank a few people. First, I'd like to thank the community and our taxpayers, our sewer water ratepayers who paid for most of this project. I'd like to thank the project team members, Diamond Materials, RK&K Engineers, Brightfield, and Tetra Tech Engineers. I'd like to thank the Army Corps who granted us the permit to construct this facility. I'd like to personally thank Jeff Flynn, the former Director of Economic Development. I'd like to thank DelDOT, who is committed to working on Phase 2 of the wetlands. I'd like to thank NOAA, the Delaware Nature Conservancy, and the Delaware Nature Society, and AARP for their support and their financial support. And I'd like to thank everybody here and for their support. So really, it's a lot to be celebrated today. Thank you again. I'm going to pass the mic to Councilwoman Michelle Harley.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. So good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I am excited to be here this morning to celebrate this grand occasion that marks an exciting milestone not only for Southbridge, South Wilmington, but the 4th District and the City of Wilmington. As we all know, this has been a long-awaited project for the Southbridge community. For far too long, residents of this part of the city have had to deal with persistent damaging flooding that would flood homes, yards, and streets. Now, after more than 15 years of planning, a new stormwater management facility is helping to reduce flooding and the creation of a new open recreational space for the Southbridge community that will allow all citizens, to enjoy a beautiful park while walking to the nearby shopping center. When this development concept got started and surfaced, the Wetlands Project was an enhancement opportunity that myself and City Council could not overlook. That's one of the reasons why I sponsored, along with my City Council colleagues, a resolution authorizing the city to accept grant funds from the Nature Conservancy and the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for the South Wilmington Wetlands Park. Wilmington City Council passed the resolution because we are excited to be a part of this project, and we are fully committed to supporting sustainability and responsibly managing this stormwater project in this particular area. The South Wilmington Wetlands Park will not only benefit and improve our soil and water quality and restore habitat for a variety of fish and wildlife, it will also benefit citizens with the inclusion of a boardwalk that will lead them through the heart of the park. Residents and visitors can enjoy a wide variety of recreational opportunities such as sightseeing, bird watching, fishing, photography, wildlife observation, and cycling through our Jack A. Markell Trail, as well as the Russell W. Peterson Urban Wildlife Refuge, and now we have the South Wilmington Wetlands Park. The South Wilmington Wetlands Park will also provide countless opportunities for environmental education and public awareness programs for both youth and our young adults, as well as adults. So, having said that, I know that we have a number of people coming behind me. A number of people have already been mentioned and commented on. So I'm just going to leave you with a fun fact that I discovered. February the 2nd, 2023 is World Wetlands Day. That's right, World Wetlands Day. But more importantly, Wilmington will now have a wetlands to celebrate, and I think that's worth applauding, that we will have our own wetlands to celebrate. So there is one other person that I want to echo that I do want to thank as well, and it has already been mentioned. Jeff Flynn was definitely very instrumental during my tenure here at City Council. I've been involved in this project for only 6 years, but whenever I reached out to Jeff to get the updates, to understand the origin of the whole wetlands project and where we were, the status, I just want to say that he was always there, always on point, and always knew exactly where we needed to pick up. And I also want to thank my City Council colleagues for voting on the resolutions that were needed for us to continue this great project. And again, I too want to thank all those that began this project. When I became a City Council member, I was hearing about the wetlands project, the wetlands project, the wetlands project. So it was my responsibility to fully understand what was needed and to help to get this project completed. So I want to thank everyone. And again, don't forget, February 2nd is what? World Wetlands Day. Thank you. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Honey Fisher-Bass to come and represent the Southbridge community.
Well, we started from the bottom, now we're here. This day means so much to me, because when I first got into council, this is one of the first projects we started. We started with the SAMP plan, and it was one of the recommendations from the SAMP that we needed a wetland to address the many environmental issues that were plaguing South Wilmington. So now we are here doing the cutting the ribbon. You don't know. Along with my fellow resident, on behalf of the Southbridge residents, we want to thank everyone who participated to make this happen. This was a long, drawn-out, major issue to address the environmental opportunities and issue the dysfunctions that we were suffering from over here. To take out that much PCB out of our neighborhood so that we have a better quality of breathing for our children to play. I can't tell you how much that means to me, how it means to all the residents of Southbridge. I'm not going to get emotional. But this has been a long haul. I've been fighting and advocating the whole time on council. This was one of the major projects that I advocated for and worked along with Jeff Flynn and the leadership. And I want to thank the administration for staying on top of this and getting us to this point. But where we are now with the wetland and addressing this issue, we now have an opportunity for economic growth and wealth to now come to Southbridge. It always was a hindrance. No one wanted to develop over here because it was always flooding. Now we can start an economic development. We can come and bring Southbridge back to be the neighborhood that we know. I'm a 40-year resident, 44-year, oh, I'm telling my age, resident of Southbridge. And to know now as the executive director of the Southbridge Development Corporation, I can work along with the administration and all the other developments happening. Our partner, I see Megan McGlinchey back there, that the Riverfront East is coming this way. Southbridge SNAP, the Southbridge Neighborhood Action Plan is coming this way. Mayor, we're going to have a wonderful South Wilmington. But thank you mostly for naming this park Southbridge. Southbridge, one of Wilmington's oldest and fledgling neighborhoods, to have our name on the pen. Mayor, you don't know how much that meant to me when I saw that. I just want to thank all of the worker bees. Jeff Flynn, you know, we went through lots working to get this together. Brian, your intelligence, and Kelly supporting all of them. I don't want to pull anybody out, but I got to say one thing. There was cutting the ribbon with Senator Carper for the rising of the South Market Street Bridge when they raised that because of the flooding that it was occurring. And I went to Senator Carper and I showed him pictures of the flooding in Southbridge. And Senator Carper said, oh, we gotta fix this. And Senator, we fixed it. Thank you so, so much. But then also, I gotta also thank the rest of our government delegations because they brought all the federal dollars down here. And I tell you, Delaware, we have some of the greatest legislators. And you know, my sister here, Congresswoman, representing us. But we as a community have to come to the table and tell them what our needs are and advocate for this. And this is what it looks like, because Southbridge, we did it. Thank you all so much. I now bring Senator Carper forward for his comments.
Anifa, how many years did you serve on city council for the city of Wilmington? For the
Tell
people
my
of it?
age again.
44 years now.
16 years, sir.
All right. Nice round of applause. Great service. Wonderful service. Thank you. Thanks for your kind words. To tell you a quick story, think of Alaska. There's a little Eskimo boy living in Alaska. He gets up in the morning, his mom gives him breakfast and says, go outside and play. He goes outside and plays. He comes in and he says, Mom, am I an Eskimo? And she goes, yes, you're an Eskimo. You're an Eskimo. Go outside and play. He comes out outside. 50 minutes later, he comes back in and he says, Mom, am I really an Eskimo? She said, you're an Eskimo, your dad's an Eskimo, I'm an Eskimo, you're an Eskimo, go outside and play. So he goes outside and plays. Comes back 5 minutes later, he says, Mom, am I really an Eskimo? She said, you're driving me crazy. Your dad's an Eskimo, I'm an Eskimo, your grandparents are an Eskimo. Why do you keep coming in and saying this? He says, I'm freezing. I'm freezing. I don't know about you, but Lisa, what is going on here? Where is climate change? Christopher, where do we need it? Bring it on. Not really. Not really. They say the best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money. That's what I want, a whole lot of money. And as it turns out, we spent about, what is it, Chris, about $28 million on this project so far. About 1/10 of that came for the efforts of Lisa and Christopher Coons. They let me help just a little bit. And if you look at the money that we've appropriated in the infrastructure bill signed into law by the president last year, biggest infrastructure bill in the history of the country, you look at the money that we've allocated in the so-called IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, which has all kinds of money for environmental projects, remediation projects, including stuff like this. We're making huge investments all over the country, but our delegation is making sure that we make those investments here as well. And I just want to put your hands together for all the people, all the efforts that brings the money here to the job. Great to see Jeff. It's great to see Megan. It's great to see Mike here. I saw Mike here today. Just out of the hospital, he's here. Put your hands together for Mike here. He and Mike Rosicki. It's great to have them. Great to have them here. Anybody here recycle? Anybody here ever recycle? I hope you're all recyclers. That's one of the best things we can do for climate change. My wife and I went through our basement last weekend, and we went through our garage last weekend. Just got all kinds of stuff to take to Frawley Stadium. Yeah. Not for the ball game, but because they have a huge recycling thing there last Saturday. Cars lined up, trucks lined up, bringing stuff from their homes and their garages, their basements as well. And a whole lot of recycling going on. And this is a recycling project. You know, we don't think of it as a recycling project, but this is a recycling project. We've taken a big piece of land that was badly treated for many years. And we've transformed it and found a way to make it even better. Not just this piece of land, but the whole community down here. It's a great project, and happy to be a part of that. I'm running a little bit of when I was privileged to serve as your governor, and we're smart enough to hire Mike Persicki to run the Riverfront Development Authority along with Megan and Mike here. And we saw over on the riverfront here potential for what has become just an amazing, vibrant part of our community. It can take a long time to clean up the wrongs of generations past, but when we do, we reap the benefits of a beautiful, clean area that serves our community in so many different ways. What are some of those ways? Well, one is recreation, connecting neighborhoods to creating a freshwater tidal habitat that will help control the flow of water in this low-lying part of our city. The Wilmington Wetlands Project is a great return on our taxpayers' investments. It's fitting that we're celebrating today, listen to this, just one day after the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act. One day after the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act. On my birthday, when I was born, the day I was born, not really. Who was the president when the Clean Water Act was signed into law? Richard Nixon, and he vetoed it. And they overrode his veto to pass the Clean Water Act. Yay! Take that, Richard Nixon. The Clean Water Act is one of the bedrock environmental laws of our land, and it protects our waterways, like the ones that we're standing right beside here today. Proud of the work that we've done in the city. Proud of my committee, Environment and Public Works Committee, the staff that I'm privileged to work with, Democrats and Republicans. We'll continue to fight against those who want to degrade that law. I'm also proud of the federal funding that we worked hard to get to make today a reality. from working to fund the state's Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund to funding for fish and wildlife to the EPA's Brownfield program. This wetlands program was a group effort. This is a team effort. What do I like to say? Teamwork makes the dream work. Right. So let me hear you say that. Teamwork makes the dream work. And it's true, and this is really a great example of that. The truth of the matter is climate change is the biggest threat we have facing our society today. We're seeing it right here in Wilmington. We're seeing it in our state. This is the lowest lying state in America. Our state is sinking. The waters around us are rising. State of Louisiana, during the 60 minutes we're here, they're going to lose another piece of land in Louisiana to the Gulf of Mexico the size of a football field. This is real. This is real, and we're seeing it here, and we're doing something about it. I'll close with this. Projects like this would make our communities more resilient to climate change, but we can't keep putting a Band-Aid on the problem. We must curb our carbon emissions, and that's just a story for another day, but we celebrated a little bit of that today, didn't we? With clean hydrogen and the kind of contributions that our delegation is working on there. There's a lot of good going on for Delaware, from offshore wind off of our coast to our researchers working on clean hydrogen just down the road on I-95 with the UOD. Proud to help support this nurturing environment. One of the joys of being your senator is having the opportunity to work with Chris Coons. He is, I think he was voted by Democrats and Republicans alike the smartest guy in the Senate a couple of months ago, and not the smartest person. Like there are like 49 women ahead of us, but the smartest guy, and maybe the hardest working. He serves. We have like 15 committees. He works on 14 of them, and one of those committees is the Appropriations Committee. I think he runs it. He lets somebody else call himself the chairman, but it's really Christopher Coons. Nice round of applause, my wingman, Christopher Coons.
Gotta love the wind torture up here. Thank you so much, Senator Carper. It is indeed a great day. And to our Governor, John Carney, our Mayor, Mike Przicki, Commissioner Kelly, and everybody who's helped make this happen, what a fantastic day. There's two simple things I want to remind us all about. This is about environmental justice. Hanifa, Marie, this is about environmental justice. Amen. This is about the history of where in our country we put pollutants, about where, as America industrialized, there were communities housed and communities polluted and communities impacted. Commissioner, how many truckloads was that again of dirt? 8,200. 8,000 truckloads of polluted dirt came out of right here. So if you think about the advocacy by the community leadership of Southbridge, and I think I saw Norm Oliver earlier, Xanthia may be here, members of council, community leaders, Marie, thank you so much for raising this issue over and over and over with those of us who are elected to represent you. As my friend Senator Carper was just saying, one of the big things that our President Joe Biden got to sign into law was an infrastructure bill, and another was the Inflation Reduction Act. And across both of them, there's significant investments in how we're going to heal cities, fix infrastructure, and deal with environmental justice. The challenge is it takes a long time, right, Governor? It takes a long time. I was in county government when I first came to a meeting about getting this project done. And for those, Mayor, it was good of you to recognize your predecessors as mayor, commissioner, your predecessors in public works, Jeff Flynn and others in city government, Hanifa, former members of city council, but I also want to take a minute and just recognize Rashima Dixon. Rashima left too soon, but was also a part of the advocacy and the engagement on council that helped make this happen. And Michelle, Harley, thank you for what you are doing to carry this forward. I also want to take a second and thank the folks who are delivering the funding, because whether it's NIFWIF or NOAA or the Nature Conservancy or the Delaware Nature Society, we can sign the bills and send the legislation to the president can sign it, but the way that that money ends up getting here onto the ground and the ground gets moved and the water starts to flow and the whole thing starts to flush is through those wonderful partners. So could we give them a round of applause, the folks from NIFWIF and NOAA and DNS and others who've really helped make this happen. When I was in county government, I learned a simple principle. It's all about the flushing. I was responsible, I thought I'd get you laughing with that. Right, I was responsible for a sanitary sewer system that had 1,800 miles and a whole lot of lift stations. I had to get a laugh out of our governor. When our governor was the deputy CAO of county government, he began working on a number of issues that helped improve the operation, the flow, the partnership between the county and the city, and helped improve our whole operating system. It takes a long time. But what's happening behind us, the vision that the mayor had when he was running the RDC, the vision that so many of you had in this community, is a remarkable thing. It has taken a lot of money. It's taken a long time. It's taken a lot of people. But ultimately, this is what environmental justice looks like. Marion Young and I were looking at a red-tailed hawk poised just right up there on a power line. And what a remarkable thing that there are fish breeding and swimming in what used to be one of the most polluted swamps and one of the most neglected corners of our city and our state. I want to close by thanking Andrew Dinsmore. Andrew, you're going to wave for a minute. Andrew is the guy on my team. Please, a big round of applause for Andrew Dinsmore. Because this kind of project only comes to fruition by dozens and dozens of people across dozens of years, across lots of different agencies and entities. And on my little team, Andrew's the one who's been pulling tirelessly to help make this happen. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to show Wilmington, Delaware, and our nation what environmental justice really looks like. Pulling the dirt out of the ground, building the infrastructure for a park, and launching the Southbridge Wilmington Wetlands Park for this century. Thank you, and I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, the wonderful, warm-hearted Congresswoman, Lisa Blair Rochester.
Thank you, Senator. I think the only thing warm on me right now is my heart. So I'm going to be really brief. I want to associate myself with the comments that were already stated, the acknowledgments that were already given, and just say what a wonderful day it is to be here in Southbridge. Southbridge. Look, I got Hanifa over here making signs of Southbridge with letters, S's and B's. But it is truly an honor to be here. And I thought about just the numbers. You know, like a lot of people ask me, being on the Energy and Commerce Committee, about whether climate change is real. And I talk about the fact that as Delaware, we are urban, suburban, rural, and coastal. And I always talk about Southbridge, whether I'm on the floor of the House or in committee, and the fact that when it rains, here it floods. When it rains, here it floods. And as the senator said, it's an environmental justice issue, but it's also a quality of life issue. And so as I was talking before to Hanifa and also to actually Rahima Jabarbeh, we were talking about just the great institutions in this community. Neighborhood house, and how when it would rain, people would have to call on neighbors and say, bring sandbags for new buildings. Henrietta Johnson. I mean, we got institutions here, and we have families here. I even sat here and remembered my 16th birthday. I celebrated it at a little club right in Southbridge. And so it is about family, and I am so grateful. And so I just thought about some numbers. I just want to give you some numbers. 150,000, 17,000, 450, 100,000, 800, 5, 16, countless. 150,000 cubic yards of soil excavated, 17,000 tons of contaminated soil removed, 450 feet of drainage pipe installed, over 100,000 marsh plants planted, 800 native trees planted, 5 project team partners to pull it all off, 16 years, I've heard 15, 16, and 17, multiple years, and countless benefits to the community and countless partners and families. I also just want to highlight the champions of Southbridge who made this day possible, and there are so many, but I have to acknowledge Marie Reed. Thank you so much for your steadfast steadfast determination to make this day possible. To all of the council members, all of the elected officials, Mr. Mayor, thank you for my personal tour. Back when this was all rubble and gravel, I wore flat shoes because I wasn't sure what to expect. And I want to end by just saying that this is really about improving our health, our economy, property values. Nobody mentioned that, but property values are important too, and quality of life. And as the sign behind us says, there is still more to come. There is still more to come. At this point, it's my opportunity to introduce more to come from our Governor, John Carney.
Thank you very much, Madam Congresswoman. We do have a saying in the Congress: when we agree with everything said before us and we can't improve on it, we like to associate ourselves with the remarks of those who've gone before me. First of all, I just want to acknowledge Marie, Hanifa, the Southbridge community, Storm and Norman was here, and all the folks who put in so much time and effort over those many years. This is one of those examples is you got to live long enough to see the end of a project. Thank God that I have lived long enough. But I'd like to go back to just one point that the mayor alluded to, and that is that if we stick together, if we think positively, we can do amazing things. I'm having a pretty good week. We are having a pretty good week. Just the other night, we got a unanimous vote from the Brandywine School Board to create what we call Wilmington Learning Collaborative. There's nothing more important to this neighborhood and neighborhoods across our city and to all of us and our city generally than the quality of education for our children. This project and the money that is going into it is really, really important, and all the contributors, most of whom, by the way, are city water and sewer ratepayers to pay back the loans that are being made available. And we have a $3.5 million grant from the Fish and Wildlife Foundation. But we made a commitment many years ago, 5 years ago, to make significant investments in our city. I've spent the last year or so knocking on doors across the west side, the north side, the east side, engaging people on what they want to see in our city. And essentially they want to see redevelopment, revitalization, investment in our children, investment in our families, and working together with our legislature. I see Representative Chakotay there in the back. Senator Brown was here earlier. Our various agencies, we're doing just that. You go across the river on your way back into the city, you'll see a construction site, a $100 million new school on the east side, the first new school built in the city of Wilmington in several generations. One of the greatest bridges in the city and in the state, the Senator Margaret Rose Henry Bridge, $80-some million investment, 80% federal money, 20% on the state side. Megan McGlinchey was recognized. The legislature has appropriated another $80+ million, which they're going to be using for the road network across on the east, on this side of the river, including the $16 million that was used to give the Salvation Army an unbelievable new operational facility just across the way. This $3.5 million investment in the 76ers field house leveraged $40 million more of private investment for the field house and the fields and all of the great things that has brought to our community and our city. If we work together and we keep our eye on the prize, we can do great things. And this project is an example of that, Hanifa. For your work and Marie's work and all the people for all those years, I don't know, it feels like 20 years to me. Like the last two feels like 10. So to all of you who had a hand in it, to our mayor and his team, congratulations. I look forward to turning some dirt. Oh no, I'm cutting a ribbon. Sorry, Jessica, I was supposed to introduce you.
No worries.
She brought real money to the table, $3.5 million.
Thank you all for the privilege of being here today with you all, and thank you for the community of Southbridge and the city of Wilmington for hosting this fabulous event. I'm Jessica Granis. I'm the Coastal Resilience Program Director at the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and we're really proud to be a funding partner on this project and to play a small role in helping to enable this project to become a reality. The National Coastal Resilience Fund is the program that I manage. It was created by Congress in 2018 to support exactly this type of investment, to help communities restore nature in ways that will both reduce their risk to climate impacts while also improving habitat for fish and wildlife. And this program and this project stands as a shining example of what coastal resilience should look like in communities. It not only took a vacant, contaminated parcel and turned it into a green gem, which the mayor called it when I had the privilege to meet him on a site visit here, that will deliver countless benefits to the community. It will not only reduce flood risk and absorb floodwaters, it will improve habitat for fish and wildlife, it will improve the water quality for the Delaware River watershed, and it creates an incredible recreational asset for residents. So we're really proud of what you've accomplished here today. It was also brought to you by this broad coalition of partners, community leaders stepping up with a vision, working with their local officials, bringing state partners to the table with DENREC and DELDOT, and all hands on deck approach, and then bringing the federal partners and the federal funding to the table. The project is also catalytic. Starting with small investments from NOAA and NIFWIF, you are able to leverage the investments from EPA and using state ratepayer money to make this project a reality. So congratulations to you for getting this work completed and continuing to expand and build upon it. I would be remiss if I didn't thank thank you all for sending such incredible leadership to Washington, D.C. as well. Thank you, Senators Carper, Senator Coons, and Representative Blunt Rochester for all of your tireless work to not only create the National Coastal Resilience Fund, to support it over the many years, but also to support the bipartisan infrastructure law, which has given us this incredible opportunity to scale and replicate these exact kinds of coastal resilience projects in communities across the U.S. So it wouldn't be possible without your work. I'd also like to thank our incredible partners and Dr. Spinrad and his team at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, who administer and partner with us in the implementation of the National Coastal Resilience Fund, who bring incredible expertise and relationships that helped us really make these investments successful. And finally, I'd like to thank the entire South Wilmington, Southbridge community and the city of Wilmington for their incredible work and tireless work to make this project a reality that will bring countless benefits to the residents of Wilmington, and again, serve as that shining example of what coastal resilience can look like in other communities. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you, everyone. I'm going to close out the show. One last round of thank yous. We just want to thank the AARP and the Delaware Nature Society for the benches, the signage, the trees. We are going to do a planting of trees over there if you'd like to participate. The shuttle will be running until 12:30 to get you back over to the parking lot. And a tour of the wetland, you can take a tour if you'd like, is available by Brian Lennon and Natalie Byers. But now we are going to go ahead and cut the ribbon.
And don't forget to grab a commemorative pin over on the table if you don't have your commemorative pin yet.
Oh, I want to thank one big more thank you to Kim for putting all of this together. She was amazing and putting all the logistics together. So, but yes, I appreciate everyone for their attention, and come watch us cut the ribbon. No, yeah, we're, Sean got. Sean. Yeah. Sean was not. He's not here. So Sean had a spot. Cut the ribbon. Can you hold this for me?
Yeah, he's ready.
Who else are we missing?
There's one Tanny in your shoes. Tanny?
She's in the back. She's all the way in the back.
Tanny.
She's right back, John.
Okay. All right, let me get out of the way. Wait a minute. Let's get out of the way. Okay. We'll do a countdown. Oh, the senator's here. Ladies and gentlemen, get out of the way.
Everybody ready? Yeah. Everybody ready? Okay, here we go. We're going to do a countdown from 10 to 0. When you say 0, we're going to cut this baby. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. When you say 10, 9, 8, 7,